You're welcome. You're welcome. So how has it been now? This is day 6. You can reply on the chat box. Do you have any comments? How has the academy been for you? No comment. Okay. Okay. Super amazing. That's beautiful. Okay. Thank you for your responses. Now we have our speaker in. So if you can hear me, we are about to begin the session where we explore the legal side of the environment on the topic legal angle to environmental sustainability in driving change. And today we'll be having Rofiat Popola, who is a member of the legal team of Plugin Nigeria. As I welcome her, can we have a round of applause? Can we welcome her with a round of applause? Can I see some claps in the chat box? I'll welcome Rofiat. Rofiat.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, all. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me very clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
I don't know. Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Rodney, our amazing moderator. As he has introduced, my name is Rofiat Popola. I am a member of the Legal and Compliance team, Plug Nigeria, and I'm really glad to be on call with everyone today to deliver the lecture on the legal angle to environmental sustainability. Okay, I am awaiting Ms. Rafia to share my slide presentation so that we all can go through what I have for us today as I am presenting. I trust you all had a great day today. I hope everyone had a great day. Please make use of the chat box. Tell me how your day went. How have you been trying to make our environment sustainable? What are the practices that you have actually done to make the environment sustainable? You can just tell me why I wait for her to share the slide. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so here is it. Let's get into it because our time is well spent already. All right, so the next slide, the table of content is on the overview of environmental sustainability because we cannot talk about the legal perspective, the legal framework, the legal angle, the legal view to environmental sustainability without addressing what the concept of environmental sustainability is about. Then the framework, how is the environment protected in Nigeria? The principles that guide environmental sustainability and sustainable development, and the environmental focused solutions that have been put in place by the government and the people and the states, to address environmental sustainability, the challenges to embracing environmental sustainability as a theoretical framework under law in Nigeria, and my recommendations and conclusions. And if you have questions, I will willing to answer them. Now let's get into it. So what is environmental sustainability? What does it entail? Okay, so the need to protect the environment, it has become a global concern. It has become something that everyone is always talking about. Hey, you have to protect the environment, you have to safeguard it, you have to ensure that it is well protected. It is not just for us alone, it is for the generation that are yet unborn. It is not just for our own sake alone, right? So I mean, as this critical as this critical topic is on everyone's lips, it demands our collective responsibility and you know our collective action, and that is why there have been agitations from the government, the people, the non-governmental organizations, the international bodies, and everyone that it must be protected by force. So, environmental sustainability is basically the management of natural resources to ensure that the current needs of our generation is met without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet theirs. So, when we talk about the environmental sustainability, we are looking at how we can conserve the environment to ensure that the generations that are coming after us can meet it the same way we left it, right? That is basically what it means. So it has to do with conserving the environment, right? So, and then to preserve the environment, the environment is made up of the whole body of the water, the land, the air, the soil, the ecosystem, even us. We are part of the environment. So, and then to preserve it, certain things must be observed, which includes the waste generation. How do we generate our waste? How do we manage it? How do we dispose it? How do we ensure that it does not affect the environment to prevent adverse effects like pollution, greenhouse effect, greenhouse gas emissions, global warming, climate change? I'm sure everyone at some point in time this year would have complained about the heat crisis, how it is affecting us, how the heat is so much, how the rain is not even coming at the time that it should. That is how much our actions can impact the environment. So there have been several index that have been reported by organizations, including the Nation newspaper, a well-known newspaper in Nigeria, that stated that over 32 million tons of waste are generated globally in Nigeria, annually in Nigeria. That is to show that in a year, Nigeria generates over 40 million tons of waste, which is concerning as a country that we are in Nigeria. That how is the government ensuring that these wastes are not choking us, right? So the need to prevent this nightmare that the waste should not choke us is why the government, the Nigerian state, has looked at how do we regulate the waste, how do we ensure that the environment is sustainable for the generation yet unborn. That is the purpose of us being here today, to look at the legal frameworks, the legal perspective to protecting the environment. Okay, the next slide. The next slide. The next one. Are we all following? Are we all together? Okay, so prior to the existence of environmental related laws, the environment was protected by the people through their traditional African culture. There is always in our Bible, in our Quran. I'm sure at some point in time during our GSA lectures, we were asked to look for the part of the scripture, that is the Quran or the Bible, that protects the environment, right? So those are the frameworks that were in place then before environmental laws started to come into place that protected the environment. So, for instance, in Yoruba land, some of us have adages, like they use proverbs, imototo, Lole shed one bobo, a common Yoruba adage that people use, that when you ensure that the environment is well protected, you are going to live a healthy life. So those are what were in place then, before the laws started to come into place to protect the environment. And then in Nigeria, environmental laws started to come in after the cocoa waste incident. It was a globally, we like to celebrated incident. Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes, you can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Profiat.
So the cocoa waste incident of 1988, and it was a widely celebrated case that I think the slide has stopped being shared. Should I go on, or
Yes,
can everyone
please.
still see the slide?
No,
Because I'm not seeing it on my
it's
end
currently
here.
not on. Okay.
Okay, let me just go on while we continue. Okay, so a little bit of the cocoa incident. So the cocoa incident happened in the Delta region, the now Delta state in 1988, where illegal dumping of harmful substances were dumped in a particular local community in Koko. In Koko is a small fishing community in Delta State. So the waste, it was disguised as, fertilizer. So they contacted one of the villagers and the Oyinbo people. They've really done bad to Nigeria. So they came, dumped the waste, and then left. Weeks upon weeks, the people started to notice that they were becoming sick. Some people were dying. They were having stomach upsets, headaches. Then what could really cause it? So the government had to come in because there was really great media outcry from people in the diaspora, and then local news stations. They started to make report on it, and then they were like, what is going on? What would really be happening in Cocoa? So they went there, and then they observed the so-called fertilizer that was dumped, and then they realized it was actually industrial waste, as really the hazardous ones that was dumped, and it was what was causing deaths upon death of people. So as a result of that, the Nigerian government had to come in. Then they ensured that the waste was evacuated, and then they put laws in place to regulate how waste is seen in Nigeria, how waste is actually consumed in Nigeria, and why international bodies or international companies could not come to see Nigeria as a dumping ground for them to dump waste illegally. So it led to the enactment of several laws like the FEPA Act that was in place then in 1988. That's the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, which established the agency. So the Act established the agency, and the Harmful Waste Act, and then many other laws, including the Oil in Navigable Waters Act. So, like I said earlier, the environment does not just is not limited to the land alone. It has to do with the air, how the air is protected, how the water is protected, the water bodies are protected, and every other thing that has to do with the environment, how the ecosystem is protected, how we even humans are protected. So in the same vein, the Ogoni land incident also led to the enactment of the Ogoni land degradation that took years. I'm sure everyone is familiar with this particular incident that is really moved by the great activist Ken Saro-Wiwa. So it lasted for decades. So this environmental incident actually led to the enactment of several laws, and it was the turning point for how the environment is appreciated in Nigeria. So can you all hear me? Are we all still together? If you are here, please
Yes, we're together.
react
Yeah.
with emojis. Okay, thank you. So several legislations have been enacted. The first that we are going to examine today, please, next slide, please, is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is the CFRN 1999 as amended. It is one of the principal legislations that regulate how the environment is protected in Nigeria, and it's the proviso that actually protects the environment in this book of law, the book of Nigeria, is Section 20, which states that the state shall protect and improve the environment and safeguard the water, land, forest, and wildlife. So it is not only limited to the land alone, like I said before, the air, the water, they are protected. And this provision of the Constitution, why it is made non-justiciable by the provision of Section 6, it has also been interpreted in quite a number of judicial decisions where the court has interpreted the provision of this particular section to include that it is protected by Section 33, that is the right to life, in Section 34, which has to do with the right of every Nigerian citizen to human dignity. So, and then several decisions have been made, including the case of AG Federation versus AG Lagos State, and several others. Now, let's go on to the Next Real Act, which is one of the encompassing body of laws that protects the environment. Um, the FEPA Act that I mentioned that was enacted in 1988 then to regulate and protect the Nigerian environment, it was abrogated, and then the Next Real Act was used to replace it. So the Next Real Act embodies the problems and the challenges that the FEPA agency faced then. So it is there now to cover up the shortcomings of that particular agency. So the National Health is an encompassing agency. That is the National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency. So it regulates the water, the land, the can everyone hear me? Network is acting up on my side. The air, the ozone layer, the noise control, water quality. It is an all-encompassing piece of legislation. Now we have the next slide, please. The Environmental Impact Assessment Act of 1982 that was enacted in 1982. So this act has to do with projects, whether private or public projects. So when you see any project that is ongoing, whether it is in the rural area or the urban area or any particular location, whatever, they have to seek the observance, the assessment of the Environmental Impact Assessment Act, the agency that is in charge. So they have to seek their um, their regulation before they can actually be put into action. So this act um, assesses if any proposed project, its impact on the environment, and it has been there have been several judicial decisions on this particular act, which includes the case of Adediran versus Interland Transport, where there was an ongoing project that obstructed an indigene of Lagos State, and then he had to enforce his rights to the environment. So that is that on the environmental impact, like the term connotes, Environmental Impact Assessment Act, right? So there are several other legislations that protect the environment in Nigeria, which includes the Criminal Code. It's contained in section 248 to 245 to 248, that has to do with the land, dumping of refuse, feces. It is not really as encompassing as other laws I've stated earlier. The Harmful Waste Act, the Land Use Act, yes, the Land Use Act also protect the environment, right? So we have the Oil and Navigable Water Act. That one has to do with how the water bodies are used, the ships, the cargo ships that ply the water structure, how they are used, right? The Associated Gas Reinjection Act. This one has to do with refineries, that how do they ensure that the air is not being polluted and all other stuffs. The Petroleum Investment Act also, how petroleum residues and petroleum products are produced and disposed of. So this act regulates how the environment is seen and viewed in Nigeria. So these laws that I've mentioned earlier, they are all federal legislations. So we're now going to come down to the state level, which we have the regulations, the laws and regulations that have been made to ensure that the Nigerian state and its state have been protected, right? So we have the environmental sanitation laws of Lagos State. For those of us that are based in Lagos, it is for those of us that are based in Lagos, this particular legislation focuses on environmental sanitation and protection. So the same way we have these legislations, we also have the Last Sepa Act. We also have the Last Sepa Act. That is the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, which is established by the Act. We have the Environmental Pollution Control that ensures that discharge of raw untreated human waste they are being discharged properly. We have also in Kwara State, we have the Kwara State Environmental Protection Agencies that ensures that the environment is well protected in Kwara State. So also we have in Oyo State and many other states across the nation, right? So now we're going to look at the. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly,
Okay.
Ofiat. We can hear you clearly.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
We're going to look
Very
at
well.
the how international laws, treaties, and conventions have impacted the protection of the environment in Nigeria, because several of these treaties, which Nigeria is a party to, have been put in place for states to domesticate them. But there is this particular provision in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that's Section 12, which states that these laws and treaties, while they have been made in those conventions, they must be ratified and domesticated before they can be made. The next slide, please. Before they can be made justiciable in Nigeria. So several of these treaties have been put in place, and some of them include the Stockholm Declaration of 1972 that recognized the right to a healthy environment as far back as 1972. So the Rio Declaration of 1992 that establishes principles that the state must observe, and the polluter pays pay principle. The United Nations, the next slide please, framework on climate change, the Paris Agreement, and the Montreal Protocols. There are several of these protocols and agreements and treaties rather that are put in place by international organizations to ensure that states are following them and they observe their provisions, right? So there are also the ones in the African level, that is the African Union protection on the environment. There are many of those agreements. Someone is saying that a lot of agreements, yes, but it must be domesticated by provision of Section 12 in Nigeria before, by the National Assembly rather, before they can be justiciable in Nigeria, before you can actually enforce those rights. So, and several judicial decisions have interpreted them, and I believe the National Assembly has also ratified some of these agreements. So, and then we are moving on to the environmental agencies in Nigeria. So, like I said earlier, some of these laws have been put in place in Nigeria, have established agencies to ensure that the laws that are in place are being implemented and regulated by the state. So some of these agencies include the National Environmental Standards Regulation, that's the NESRA, the Federal Ministry of Environment, Ministries of Environment in several states in Nigeria, the Lagos State, LASEPA, like I said earlier, the lawman. I know the lawman does a whole great work in Lagos State because they're always ensuring that wastes are not being dumped illegally. Right? I don't think Lagos should be smelling, because there's this general assertion that Lagos is a smelling state. I believe lawman is doing their work right? Are we all in agreement, everyone? Are we all in
No.
agreement? You're saying no because you're still
No.
smelling. Okay, we're going to get there. All right. So when we have Ministry of, and then we also have the local government levels too. So there are many regulations and councils that are in place to ensure that the environment is properly protected. That are properly protected. We have enforcement agencies, Ministry of Water Resources, National Oil Spill Detection Agency. So the environment, that is the land, the air, the water bodies, the ozone layer, they are well protected in Nigeria. Now, we're going to examine the principles of sustainability. The principle of sustainability, that's the principle of sustainable development. How do we make the environment sustainable for our own development? How do we regulate waste? How do we regulate how the environment is protected? How do we ensure that the environment is properly protected for the generation yet unborn? So the core purpose of this principle is to ensure that human activities meet the current need without depleting natural resources. Okay, so some of these principles include the prevention principle, the polluter pay principle, the user pay principle, the precautionary principle, the intergenerational principle, the intragenerational principle, the subsidiary. So there are several of these principles that ensure that the environment is being protected to balance economic growth, social equity, and environmental integrity. So let me just go through some of these principles. Prevention principle, it encourages industries to invest possibly to prevent pollution in our environment. So this particular principle is put in place to ensure that industries, companies, or whatever form of corporate body that are into production prevent any form of pollution in the environment. So this principle must be followed by every one of those corporate bodies so that the environment can be safe for all. So then the next one we have the polluter pay principle. This one has to do with as you are um as you are polluting the environment, you must pay for it. So these are some of the key principles that several laws in Nigeria have put into their heart, into their bodies, including the Nestria Act, which is quite included in the provision of Section 20 to Section 25, that if you should flout any of the provisions of that particular law, you are going to pay for them. So there have been fines, penalties, and even imprisonment and jail terms that are included in some of these acts. That if you should flout it, you're going to spend 6 months in prison. So these are the ways by which the government has been including the principles in its laws. So then we have the user pay principle that has to do with the costs or the extraction of whatever form of resource that you are using, how you are going to contribute back to the environment. So we have the precautionary principle that has to do with you preventing any form of, if any form of environmental degradation. How are you going to make sure that you caution how you use them, right? So then we have the intragenerational principle that has to do with how you use resources for generations yet unborn to use them in a way that is sustainable. So it requires that the needs of the present generation are met without compromising the ability of generation to meet them. So then we have an intragenerational principle that has to do with the different groups of people in the community or in the state, how they use the resources that are available to them, exploiting those resources without compromising the uh, the capacities of those that are their neighbors, right? without compromising their ability to use that same resources. Like, it's like you saying that at that particular generation, how are you all using the resources that it is not affecting your neighbor? And so, and your neighbor is someone that is directly or closely affected by that thing that you are generating, right? That is who your neighbor is. So how do you live sustainably with your neighbor? So that is what that principle is about. So these principles are rooted in how the laws are enacted, implemented, and so they are always included in how the laws are being viewed and seen. So now we move on to the environmentally focused solutions that have been put in place by non-governmental organizations. So we have the NIWAD, that is the Nigerian Waste Management Directory. It is a product of Blogging Nigeria, and it is a platform that has been created to connect Nigerians with verified recycling, upcycling, and waste management service providers. So as you are generating your waste, there is that missing link between how waste uh, uh, consumers, or let's say waste generators, how they get to connect with those that can actually dispose of their waste properly, so to say. So how do you connect the final consumers with waste recycling companies or waste upcycling companies or waste management service providers? So how do you ensure that your access to disposing of your waste properly is not being compromised? So that is what this 9 word is about. It has breached that lacuna, that gap, that wide um that wide gap between consumers and their providers and some waste management service providers. So that is what that directory is all about. So it will connect you when you log into that platform. It will connect you with those that can actually deal with your waste for you, whether to upcycle it, whether to recycle them, or whether to dispose of them properly. So it prevents consumers from, burning of their waste, or and then releasing harmful gas to the environment, which will deplete the ozone layer and cause climate change. So this is what that directory is looking to. Okay. So now we look at the challenges to environmental sustainability in Nigeria. Okay, so what are the problems that are impeding environmental sustainability in Nigeria? Number one, we look at the inadequate funding, weak oversight, we look at insufficient enforcement of. This is so true. There are several laws that have been enacted by the government. There are several laws that have been passed by the National Assembly on a daily basis on regulating the environment. But are these laws actually being enforced? Are the states, the executive that are meant to, implement these laws, are they actually doing their work? Are they doing it? Are they ensuring that these things are being enforced? And there is also low public awareness and limited sensitization. So, and then there's lack of political will. Are the governments really environmentally focused? Are they looking at protecting the environment? Do they have the environment at the back of your heart? Do they have it? They don't. So these are the questions that we are looking to answer, and how we can provide our own solutions to them. Yes, I'm still using the slide. So now we are going to the recommendations now. How do we ensure that the problems of environmental sustainability are coped? How do we ensure that environmental sustainability does not become just what you hear and it is not being implemented, right? So number one is to eradicate poverty. It is only a belleful mouth that would say that, yes, I want to protect the environment, where everyone is hustling and trying to make two ends meet. They will not even care about the environment. They just throw things, and they just throw waste and dispose them improperly. So when the government look at eradicating poverty in the states, then we can talk about more on how the environment can be protected. So enforcing environmental laws strictly, how is the government looking to enforce the environmental laws that are already in place? Or do we just keep complaining that it is administrative setbacks that is hindering us from enforcing environmental sustainability, environmental laws? Is it that, or how do we look at addressing that? So proper funding is government funding environmental agencies and initiatives, non-governmental organizations. Many non-governmental organizations are being established on a daily. Is there proper funding for them to implement their initiatives? Promote sensitization and environmental awareness programs. So by promoting these things, I believe it will go a long way in in embracing environmental sustainability as a concept in Nigeria, and then encouraging sustainable and environmentally focused initiatives such as the 9 that I mentioned. When the government is not even ready to embrace initiatives like that, how do we advance as a nation? Foster partnership between the people, the NGOs, and the government. Is the government even ready to listen to these stakeholders that are advancing environmental policies and laws in Nigeria? Are they ready to listen to them or give them an audience? So when we do that as a nation, I believe that we're going to go forward on the path to promoting the sustainability of the environment. So the conclusion now. The legal angle, it merely provides the structure to interpret environmental sustainability. Yes, it has done that. But Nigeria will only achieve environmental sustainability and sustainable development when it combines good governance with policies that meet the needs of the present and future generation. So Nigeria will only achieve a sustainable environment when it is ready to combine good governance. That is what we need in this country of today. This is our country of today. When it combines good governance with policies that are ready to eradicate poverty and every other problems that are associated with environmental sustainability with the needs of the present and future generation. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have questions, I think I still have, how many minutes do I have left, my esteemed moderator?
Okay, Wafia, thank you so much.
So
You
we'll
have
get
less than
questions.
2 minutes. Yeah, so if there are
Yes.
questions from the
If there are
Gwyneth,
questions, let me go through the chat box. If there are questions, yes, plugging Nigeria to the rescue. Someone said Lagos is smelling. Lagos is not smelling though. We have a lawman to the rescue. It's just that we need lawman to be more active and proactive as well to enforce its laws, because they okay. Do we have any questions? If you have any questions on any of the slides, I'm ready to listen to them. Okay, someone said EIA of 1982. No, EIA was enacted in 1992 during the tenure of General Babangida. Okay. Are there any questions before I call it a day today? Are there any questions?
okay, it seems like
Okay, in the absence of no
Gwyneth,
question.
do you have any questions? Our speaker is interested in your questions. He's ready to answer. Any question at all, you can raise your hand. You can unmute your mic and ask a question.
Okay, in the absence of no question, I I remain Rafiat Bukola, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on any social media where apps. I'm there, and you can reach out to me on my email address as well, account rather. So if you have any questions in whatever form, I would be glad to listen to them. All right, so I remain Rafiat Popola from the Legal and Compliance team of Blogging Nigeria. Thank you very much for having me this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause to Rafiat for a beautiful session. Thank you, Rafiat. Thank you for educating us on things about the law. Thank you so much. Sincerely, that was a lot of information and about the principles too. Thank you. And you mentioned so many insightful things about over 40 million tons of waste regenerating in Nigeria. Oh, that's a lot. And yes, just to plug in Nigeria for coming up with 9 words, connecting. Basically, we are the missing link, and we are connecting that gap now between the consumers and waste recyclers, upcyclers. We are the bridge. So again, thank you so much, Ofiat, for that. And in less than 10 minutes, we're going to begin our presentations. Okay. So does anybody want to say anything about how it has been for them? How was the academy for you? How has it been for you? Any there have been so many complaints in my DM. This is a good time for you to talk about it now. Oh, Danny said good, great, okay, beautiful. Okay, I think we'll compile our social media handles and share them on the academy. Okay, said the academy has been filled with pressure galore. Okay. Ali, you said interesting. So as we are getting ready for the presentation, kindly get your slides ready. And don't forget, we've already sent in the guide, that is each of the presentation, the order. And we'll be beginning with the amplifiers GSAG from 8:40. Okay. Okay, so we shall be we shall be while with us. We shall be a while, like almost 17 minutes. Somebody said great, challenging, and interesting until today. What happened today? And can we talk about our submission? How was it? Saw some beautiful creation, some very innovative mindset. Wow. You guys give us a lot to see today. I saw a lot of confusing submissions too. But kudos to the efforts. Yeah. Kudos to that. So he's saying it has been a great time at the academy. That's beautiful. Yeah, network. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about the network. Okay. Mm, okay. Faye, thank you for that. Thank you for acknowledging the work we DSAM do. Thank you so much. And please reach out to your colleagues. We're about to begin. So change of time. We're going to begin by 8:30. So less than 5 minutes. Please let's get ourselves set. our slides ready, and our voice active. In less than 5 minutes, we're going to begin the presentation. And our apologies for moving the time, but since we have a lot of time, let us begin on time and finish on time, so we can all rest on time. How about that? I think that's a very good idea. So coming up first would be the amplifiers GSAG. Okay. Please, are the representatives ready for each GSAG? Can you kindly signify so we can make you co-host? The amplifiers, are we ready? Can I see your representative? Can you please signify? Raise your hand or send a message on the chat box. Okay, Basirat. So are you the only person representing your GSAG or your two? Okay, thank you, Oyewumi. Thank you, Chukuma. Thank you, Faye. I'm seeing the energy. Okay, this is good. I'm liking this energy. That's beautiful. Okay, yeah, Baswat, you would begin in less than 3 minutes. Are you able to project? Okay, you have a co-presenter. That's beautiful. Are you ready to present? Are your slides up? And please, each GSAGs, kindly cheer up your representatives while they speak. It just promotes beautiful support. It helps the representative. Please support your representative during their presentation. Cheer them up, but don't make it as fun as possible. But don't make it distracting, basically. In less than 2 minutes. Okay, Basirat, are you ready to project? I need to get that answer so we can have a backup just in case. And also the representative for system shapers. Can you also signify? Okay, whole body. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, thank you, Ali Musa. So Basirat, in exactly 8:30, you begin your presentation. Thank you, Favor.
Okay, sir.
The dark ball. Please begin. It's 8:30. Thank you. Please share your screen, Basirat, and begin, please.
Good evening, GSAM. My co-presenter will be the one sharing the screen, sir. Yes. Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Abdusalam Basirat, representing the amplifiers, and I have my co-presenter, Olabode Akinwumi. The amplifier. Okay, so at first, let's look at Nigerians' waste at a glance. We have 32 million tons of solid waste generated annually, according to the World Bank, where only 20 to 30% of the waste generated is actually being collected. Plastic waste recycling rates is actually below 10%, and the recycling efforts dropped from 26% as at 2023 to 19% as at 2024, according to Stone report in 2024. And this waste is projected to reach 107 million tons by 2050 if nothing changes. That's if our action does not change. And this is the scale of the crisis the public should know about. The question is, do they know? So that is where we, the amplifiers, comes in. And let's take a look at who the amplifiers are. Co-presenter, please, the video. Through this short clip. Please let's watch it together and pay attention.
Think about the last thing that excited you online. An event,
Co-presenter,
a movement, an opportunity. How did you find out? Hello, Greenies. Think about the last thing that excited you online. An event, a movement, an opportunity. How did you find out about it? Someone posted it, someone shared it, someone put it on their story and it reached you. Now imagine nobody posted it. No story, no tweet, no reel, no forward. Would you have found it? Be honest. Here's a question for everyone watching. How did you hear about Green Switch Academy? The amplifier. Think of Nigerian waste management chain like a human body. The waste generators are the hands, they produce, the service provider are the organs, they process, the knowledge architects are the brain, they think, the system shapers are the skeleton, the structure, the investors are the blood, the fuel. But who are the amplifiers? We are the nervous system. Without nerves, the brain cannot signal the hand. The blood does not know where to flow. The organ operates in isolation. The skeleton holds up a body that cannot feel or respond. Every other group in this chain depends on information reaching the right people at the right time. That is our job. And when we fail, every chain fails with us.
all right, thank you so much, co-presenter. So that is who we, the amplifiers, are. Now the gap, that is the problem faced before NIWAD came in. No verified, accessible, reliable information about Nigeria's waste sector. Stories ran on vague estimates, millions of tons, no particular figure, no exact figure from credible sources. Recyclers, upcyclers, and waste managers were nearly impossible to verify or to locate. Then contacts online are fake, outdated, and unreachable because we all know we cannot go online to post anything. The effect it has on the people. Stories are published without numbers. Reports are released without sources. And critical environmental stories were never told at all because there is no accurate data to tell the story. Then NIWAD came in, the solution, a step in the right direction. The Nigerian Waste Management Directory, which is the NIWAD, it is Nigeria's first free centralized digital platform connecting Nigerians to verified recycling, upcycling, and waste management service providers nationwide. For we, the amplifiers, NIWAD means a newsroom resource, a content creator's cheat code, and a broadcaster's fact check. So NIWAD does not just fill a gap, it gives us the ground to stand on. Now, since the coming of NIWAD, how does it change things? It brings verified sources on demand. It gives us data that drives narrative. it connects to human stories, and there is consistency in messaging because there is a verified platform that gives direct access to products to the recyclers, direct access from recyclers to the waste generators to the investors. Also, now we the amplifier as a chain's nervous system, cross-cutting rule. Every other GSAG has a primary relationship with one or two other GSAGs. The generators have a primary relationship with the service providers. The service providers have a primary relationship with the waste generator. Each of these GSAGs have a relationship with the other one, where we, the amplifiers, we have a link to all the GSAGs, because the other GSAGs just have a relationship or two with the other, but we, without us, they cannot function. So that is why we say amplifier simultaneously links to all 5 GSAGs. So we are not upstream, we are not downstream, we run parallel to the entire chain. How each GSAG depends on us, just like I said before, that the whole depends on us. So the waste generator needs us to know what to do, because a market woman definitely cannot just, the illiterate people, they can't go online to search for NEWAD, but through our reels we posting online that they can easily see, or through the radio, because we know how elderly people, they do well with the radios and they can easily know about how to manage their waste from there. Then the service provider needs us for visibility and for customers. Knowledge architect need us to make their work matter. The system shapers need us to create political will, and investors need us to make good use of their money. When the amplifier underperform, just one lag and we have 5 failures, because the research isn't communicated, there is no pressure on government, no investment narrative, and generators are not reached, and service provider stays invisible. What still needs to happen beyond NEWAD? There needs to be media training, because most of these journalists are not aware on the proper way to do research on environmental waste. There needs to be open infrastructure. There needs to be government. There needs to be government, influencer, and NGO collaboration. Then also community radio as a bridge for the non-literate people. Then sustained storytelling. We all agree that this cannot be a one-off campaign. It needs to keep running. It needs so to can reach the right amount of people that is meant to be reached. Now division. Every waste generator knows where to go because we, the amplifier, we already make them aware of it. Every recycler is visible because we showed it to them. So NEWAD provides the platform, while the amplifiers provide the voices that connect waste to opportunity and information.
Your time is up.
Action.
Your time is up. It's 8 minutes. No. Thank you for that. Please, a round of applause to Bashira. Can we actually give a round of applause? Let's appreciate her, please. Let's appreciate her. Thank you so much for that beautiful presentation. So the amplifiers, they are next.
Good evening. Can I continue, sir?
No, please just wait. You have to begin by 8:40. Please.
All right.
So you begin exactly 8:40 and you have 8 minutes. Please, all representatives, make sure you use your time well. And I'll give a signal when it's about 2 minutes remaining. Yeah. So in less than a minute, amplifiers should please begin their presentation. Yeah, you can go now. This is 8:40.
All right. Good evening, Gigi Sam. Good evening, GSAMs, panel of judges, moderator, the most supportive GSAG members of the investors and fellow dreamers. My name is Peyton Mishegundeji, and I'll be representing my GSAG, where we are presenting to you the topic bridging the gap between capital and collection, fixing Nigeria's waste investment disconnect. All right. So I would like to start with the introduction that over 4 million plus tons of waste is generated annually in Nigeria, but most of it is improperly disposed. That is, they are not properly disposed, despite the presence of recycling companies, and this is due to limited awareness and lack of access to the right stakeholders, which result into continuous accumulation of waste and causing health and environmental challenges in the country. Next slide, please. So now we are the investors, and I would like to introduce to you who the investors are. The investors are individuals or organizations, or so to say, institutions that provide financial support to businesses and projects with the expectation of return. Yeah, you can't expect me to be an investor without the mindset of expecting a return at the end of the day. So definitely there's an expectation of return. So what do the investors invest in? They invest into waste collections and logistics services. They invest into upcycling and eco-friendly product businesses. And examples of investors, we have the private individuals, and we have government agencies. We have the non-governmental organization and environmental organization. Next slide, please. All right, their role is crucial in turning ideas to solutions. Basically, yeah, it is very crucial in turning ideas to solutions. So, what is the importance of the investors? They provide funding for recycling plants and initiative. Yes, it is very essential that for us to properly manage the waste that is being generated annually by our country, Nigeria, there is funding for recycling these plants and initiatives. They help support innovation in waste solutions. Yeah, they help to support people that have innovation, ideas in waste solutions. So they support financially. Do not forget, with the intent of making a return at the end of the day, even though it is a long-term thing. So they help scale environmental businesses too, and they drive economic and environmental growth. Can you please help me with the next slide, please? Without investors, basically, waste solutions cannot grow. They can just always start up, but without investors, people that really put in their money, their financial assistance, waste solutions cannot grow. What are the challenges that innovators can face? The challenges innovators can face I would like to just talk about some of it, but then difficulty identifying legitimate business to invest in. Me as an investor now, it will not be ideal for me to just invest in any kind of business. But then when I can't identify a legitimate business to invest in, definitely I would hold back and I would not invest, despite the fact that I have my money to invest in. So there is limited access to waste industry, and there's no central platform to connect with real opportunity. Yeah, that is a problem. No central platform to connect with real opportunities. Next slide, please. All right, so let me just give you a scenario about the challenges that an investor can face. it is here, and then I would just like to, for example, an investor based in Lagos became interested in funding plastic recycling, but then after so many unsuccessful attempts and fear of investing in the wrong company, he just decided to hold back and withdrew his interest. Meanwhile, there are several small recycling businesses that are struggling to grow due to, and then they cannot grow because of lack of funding, even though they have their capacity. This solution clearly highlights the disconnect between investors and risk management. Next slide, please. All right, so what is the missing? There are investors and there are waste businesses, but then in due sense there is no direct connection between them. So how do we address this gap as investors? We fund them, we support them using digital platforms that connect sellers to buyers. There are some that buys and there are some that sell. So with our whole funding, we use that digital platform and then we connect them. We invest in buyback programs that incentive waste collection. Now I'll leave to my co-presenter to take up from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, for taking the lead. Standing on the existing protocol, my name is Oluwakwelu, and I'll quickly take it up from here. So, Feitumshe has clearly established why the investors are clearly needed in this circle, and I'll be continuing from where it stopped. Next slide, please. On slide 9, we can see the consequences. The consequences are clear when investors pull out, waste piles up, and the environment suffers. And this is where NEWAD comes in. This is why NEWAD was created as a centralized digital platform to act as the missing link connecting waste generators, recyclers, and investors together. Now imagine how the waste are gathered, and there is no transport to take it from point A to point B. This is what the investors aim. This is the bridge. This is the gap that the investors aim um to connect. So the investors invest in the logistics systems that help transport them to the appropriate place. Without the investors, there will be no funds for the upcyclers. Next slide, please. How does NEWAD help investors? It transforms a scattered market into a functioning ecosystem. Now, investors can just go online and invest in organizations without the fear of the risk or investing in a scam business. No investor will want to invest in a business that wants to collapse. NEWAD helps bridge this gap. NEWAD helps alleviate this fear. Next slide, please. Please, sir. So why NEWAD is a fantastic digital bridge, the following thing needs to be done to make it fully functional. One of which is to make people understand that waste is money, energy, employment, and industrial raw materials. Citizens must learn to separate value and responsibly dispose of waste. Looking at the blueprint on the next slide, this is the ideal circular system we want for Nigeria. Next slide, please. Waste shouldn't go straight to the dump site. It must start with sorting at home, move through a reliable collection network, goes to sorting hubs, and feed directly into recycling plants. Landfills should strictly be a final
Okay,
result. Thank you very much for listening.
beautiful.
Congratulate everyone for
Thank
listening
you.
as representative from the investors GSAG of the missing link, Greenwich Academic Course. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Please, a round of applause. Please, let's appreciate her and our co-presenter. Please, let's genuinely appreciate these people. Please, thank you for that. The investor GSAG. Thank you. Thank you. So come next up is the knowledge architect. So are we ready?
Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yeah, you can see your screen. You have to begin by 8:50. Are you presenting alone? Or you
No,
have a
I have a co-presenter and she'll come in.
So, okay. So by 8:50 you begin. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Um, good evening, GSAMs. Good evening, Greenies, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I will start my presentation from this short story. Imagine a shop owner with hundreds of empty PET bottles and a recycler nearby looking for those same bottles. So both of them cannot find each other. So this is just a waste. Sorry, this is not just a waste problem, but is a connection problem. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Endurance Jumbo, representing the Knowledge Architect, GSAG, and presenting the topic titled Bridging Nigerian's Waste Gap Through Nigerian Waste Management Directory, NIWAD. So I go to the next slide. So based on this statistic on the slide, Nigeria generates millions of tons of municipal solid waste every year, and a very large amount of those plastic wastes are produced annually. Yet, only a very small percentage of plastic is formed, is recycled. So this crisis is not just about the volume of waste, it's about the broken system. So home, school, markets, businesses generate recyclable waste, but many do not know where to send it. And on the other side, recyclers, collectors exist, but they are not often visible enough. They are not visible enough to the people that need them. So the waste end up in drains, dump site streets, and sometimes get burnt openly. This causes flooding, pollution, health risks, and loss of economic value. The missing link. So what's the missing link? On the left-hand side, we have the waste generators, which includes household, school, hospital, business, and industries. And on the right side, we have recyclers and providers, which consist of collectors, upcycler, processor, and waste service provider. But between them, there is a gap, and there is no easy database nor reliable directory that has this strong network that connects them together. So there is no single platform that is connecting both of these two sites. For example, Chukwemeka in Onisha, Anambra State, wants to recycle an item, but he could not find a reliable recycler. Meanwhile, a recycling company in the same Anambra State, meanwhile, needs pet waste, but both sides actually exist, but there's no connection, there's no link. So that's actually the missing link. I move on to the next slide. So we, the knowledge architect, our role is just to build and organize information. We are not just looking at this waste from the fiscal angle of trucks, bins, dump sites, but we are looking at the knowledge system behind this waste management. So our GSAG represent those who help make these waste actors visible, searchable, and coordinated. We are also organized environmental information and recycling networks, manage the waste data, and support digital platform that makes the solution easier to access. And we sit between the different actors, waste generator, recyclers, collector, government policy, and researchers. The next slide. Okay. So waste management is not just about carrying waste from one place to another. It also depends on the data, communication, and visibility and evidence. Okay. The knowledge architect, we matter in the sense that we help to organize this scattered information into something useful. Okay, and we also answer the following question: who collects plastic waste, where they are located, the kind of waste they collect. And without this proper information system, they cannot locate recyclers, government cannot track the waste trends, and investor cannot fully identify their opportunities. So the challenges before NIWAD. So before NIWAD, Nigerian waste sector suffer from an information vacuum. Information were scattered across states, organizations, and agencies, and there was no unified platform showing the recyclers, connectors, upcyclers, and service providers. So this made research difficult, planning weak, communication poor, and this results to the loss of recycling opportunities and poor environmental planning, weak investors' confidence, and inefficient waste system. So the bridge now. the bridge, this is where NIMWAD becomes important. So it is not just a website directory, it is a knowledge bridge because it connects the waste generator, business institution, recycler, collectors. It connects all these bodies together into one ecosystem. So it turns it turns scatter waste information into accessible intelligence, it turns awareness into action because people who can simply know about this waste problem and finding who can help. It also supports evidence-based waste management system. Slide number 3, we can see the number of the statistic mentioned earlier. So as Nigeria generates these millions tons of waste yearly, including a huge amount of plastic waste, yes, this recycling rate remains very low. Recycling rate remains very low. It means that materials are still being wasted. So the important thing to highlight here now is that waste can become raw material. These wastes are not useless. It can create job opportunities, support businesses, and this is why NIMWAD is important. So Nigerian does not need only just awareness, but we need a system that connects these values together and brings us to the new solution. So I move over to my co-presenter, Kende Dorcas, please. You can proceed.
All right.
Okay, you have less than 2 minutes for this. Less than 2 minutes to go.
Okay, so I'll be talking about how NIWAD actually bridges the gap. So from the slide, you see several points, which I may not be able to take everything. I'll just like to highlight two among the points there for further understanding. We say first, it creates connection. Yes, that's why we are the knowledge artifacts, because we are there to create awareness, to give knowledge to the people for them to know about it. For example, now, imagine me, I have a friend who she's allergic to sachet water, so she drinks bottled water every day. And then when I go to her house, I see a lot of bottled water containers, PET bottles in her house. But then in my school we have plug-in, so whenever every Saturday I'll just pack those bottles and I'll hand it over to our officials. So that is the bridge there. That's how it helps. Instead, if I didn't do that, she would have been taking those PET bottles outside to the waste, and it might be constituting nuisance everywhere. And another one is that it helps reduce plastic pollution, just like I've said now. And then please, the next slide, in slide 10, talk about Nigeria's plastic crisis. So plastic waste is one of Nigeria's biggest environmental problems. We all can testify to that because during rainy season, you will see that when heavy rain falls, most of the things that you see that causes flood or drainage blockage will be plastic, all these bottles and every other thing. So that's one of the problems that we have in Nigeria. And how does NIWAD help? NIWAD helps to solve by connecting plastic waste to recyclers. So instead of pollution, it becomes a resources. Slide 11, please. What more needs to be
Okay,
done?
time up. This is
Thank you very much.
so the next GSAG. So service GSAG, you are the next. Can I see your representative? Service providers, please. My apologies. The service
Good evening.
providers, GSAG,
Good
are you
evening,
ready?
everyone. Yes.
Are you ready to project
Sir.
your screen?
Almost ready, sir.
Sorry, what did you say?
Almost ready. Just a moment. Sorry.
Okay. So please, a round of applause for the knowledge architects, please. Let's give it up to them. Let's give it up, please. Let's actually appreciate these people. Thank you. Thank you for coming out and representing your. It's a big deal, and we appreciate you for coming out to represent your GSAG. So service providers. Your time starts right now.
Good evening, everybody. I acknowledge the presence of everyone in this meeting, the GG Sams, and the fellow Greenies. My name is Anna Adito. I'm presenting for the service provider GSAG. Okay, so firstly, it's no longer news and it's no longer something that is unfamiliar. I hope you can hear me, please. It's no longer news and it's no longer something that is unfamiliar to us that Nigeria is facing a waste management crisis currently. And so that is why the service provider is coming up with a way in which it can be a bridge between the waste generators and the recyclers. So the first thing to note and the most important thing to note is that without service, there can be no network. And that is why the service provider seeks to to the goal of the service provider is to build a sustainable and a zero waste Nigeria through efficient material collections and processing. Okay. And okay, Nigeria's waste management crisis is caused majorly by rapid urbanization, industrialization, population growth, basically. And then Nigeria is also in currently the cycle which is buy, use, and dump. That is what most people are used to currently. Most people buy, use, and dump, and that is also a very major effect or major causes of the waste management crisis we are currently facing in Nigeria. And another major thing is low public awareness. Most people do not know, the waste generators do not know, and then the service provider do not also know what exactly to do. And that is where the service providers comes in, basically. And the reality of this waste management crisis is that everywhere and the unsorted use of plastics, organic waste, they build up rapidly and causing major problems to our economy, to our life, basically in Nigeria. And then one major solution to this waste management crisis is the circular economy. Circular economy replaces the linear model with a system focused on reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. And this circular economy creates value by transforming raw waste into valuable secondary resources. And a key service provider is NIWAD. That is where NIWAD comes in. NIWAD establishes centralized digital database, and it connects household institution markets directly with registered waste service providers. So now if you ask me, who are service providers? Service providers include recyclers, upcyclers, and waste collectors. They are the primary machinery of the circular economy, and the service provider also serve as the backbone of Nigeria's recycling and waste recovery. And there are two major factors to the service providers. The first one is the formal recyclers and the informal collectors. The formal recyclers are the
Okay,
registered
sorry, Anna.
recycling agencies.
Hello,
Yes,
Anna.
yes, I can hear
Sorry to
you.
interrupt. Yeah, your slides are up. Your slides are up. Can you see them?
Oh, someone.
Please.
Oh,
Continue. You can
okay.
continue.
All right. Okay. Okay. As I was saying that there are two major key players in defining creating a link between the waste generators and recyclers. So there are former recyclers and the waste collectors. The former recyclers include registered recyclers. They include a space where there have been created structures to facilitate recycling. And while the informal collectors include unregistered operators, which are scavengers, cart pushers, and local waste pickers, basically. And then the formal recycling structure includes industrial sorting. There's a structured facility for sorting and cleaning materials to meet industrial factory standards. While for the informal collectors, there's a system of whereby the system whereby local waste collectors or local waste pickers they collect and transport recyclables at neighboring level. And moving on to the next slide, which is how upcycling can affect the economy in how or rather how upcycling affects our economy in Nigeria. So upcycling when we practice upcycling, it creates a value for us it creates a value to our economy, and it creates a system whereby we get to reuse things. It converts waste materials into items of higher value. It converts, we see examples of furnitures, eco bricks, paving bricks, creative decor, and much more. And then upcycling also gives a $1 billion market potential to our Nigeria's economy. It causes economic growth, it makes social impact, it creates jobs for people on lower levels and higher levels and across different areas of the economy. They get to have something of value they can be doing as a job. And then it also creates an awareness to people, like it creates awareness to people whereby people get to know the um people get to know the importance of upcycling. It makes people more creative and so on like that. And the moving on to the next slide, the most challenging thing or the most important thing to note, which we are trying to communicate from the service provider GSAG, is that the missing link between the waste generators and the recycling company. We serve to stand as that missing link, whereby we tend to like connect both sectors together. We connect the waste generators to the recycling companies and vice versa. So the missing links include there is no visibility. There's no visibility for especially the waste collectors on the lower level, and most waste generators they have no idea that the recycling company exists. So we seek to bridge that gap between fact the two factors. And like I said, generators don't know who or where local recyclers are, and recyclers operate below capacity due to severe feedstock supply and shortage. Most informal recyclers, which includes the scavengers and the cart pushers, they do not really know the value of what they are doing. So, and sometimes maybe from the nature of what they do, sometimes they might get discouraged and so on. But then the service providers, they tend to like create a bridge whereby the waste generators can get to knowing the waste collectors. And moving on to the next thing, recycling company are also there. They include former recyclers, aggregation hubs, factories, and the processing structures, infrastructure. But the problem is that they struggle with high material sourcing costs.
Okay, you
And
have
moving on to
less than a minute to go.
okay,
What's
I
up?
will
You're not
now
saying anything. Yeah.
okay, I will defer the presentation to the next speaker.
No. Okay, let me show you. Like,
Wow.
let me.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So
Okay.
moving to the next slide, please. So
Yeah.
I'll just make a little summary of the remaining ones. So operational barrier, we have the logistic and the contamination.
Who might eat roast and fried
Okay,
yam?
supply chain
Will you
inefficiency.
eat? Should I remember?
So we have the supply chain inefficiency and we have the contamination
Okay,
challenge.
time's up for you guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We're round of applause for you guys. I actually gave you extra minutes because I interrupted the first presenter. So it's not meant to get to this time, but thank you again. Thank you for that. I don't know how you guys planned it, but thank you again for your presentation. Please, a round of applause to them. Let's appreciate them. Please, your fellow GSAG members, to appreciate the presenters. Coming right up is the system shapers. Please, are we ready? The system shapers were coming right up by 9 a.m. So the system shapers, this is 10 minutes past 9. We have to begin right now. Ali raised his hands up earlier. Where is Ali or Favor? So one of you guys raised up your hand. Okay,
I'm
please, you can
waiting for my
begin.
co-presenter to share his screen.
Yeah, the screen is not shared yet, so I'm looking.
Okay.
Yes, I was sharing the screen now.
Yes, it's visible now. We can see it. Please continue. Thank you, Ali.
Let's start from number one, please. The first slide.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. DG Sams, fellow system shapers, members of Green Switch Academy. Thank you all for having us. My name is Fiba Adedapo, and with me is Aliyu Musa. Together, we'll be representing the system shapers. So today, we'll be showing you how to connect Nigerians' waste future using the data, connection, and infrastructure through NIWAD, the Nigerian Waste Management Directory. Our core philosophy is building smarter waste policy through data connection and infrastructure. To the next slide, please. So let's start with the real problem. Can we all see the next slide? Let's start with the real problems. Everyone, meet Chukwuemeka, a man who runs drink shops in Onisha. Every week, pet bottles pile up in his back room. He really wants to recycle this waste, but he does not know any verified recyclers near him. With no options, he turns the waste, he burns them. But here is the paradox. A few kilometers away, there is a recycling plant which runs below capacity because it can't get enough pet supplies. And that is where the missing link is: zero connection. The waste generator lack visibility, recyclers lack supply, and the policymakers lack baseline waste data. To the next slide. So what we need is connection, data, and solution. To the next slide. This is where we, the system shapers, come in. We are the architects of Nigeria's environmental landscape, like the Federal Ministry of Environment, the NESTRAs, the urban planners, and the policy bodies. Our job is to shape how waste is collected, tracked, and recycled across the states. But we've been faced with a lot of problems, and we've been forced to plan blind. Please, to the next slide. Before NEWAD, we work with outdated statistics, no visibility, and no map of hotspots. So states build recycling plants in the wrong places, and we know the results. The results are wasted funds and unchecked environmental damage. And here comes the NEWAD, which is the Nigerian Waste Management Directory. The NEWAD is the first free centralized digital directory for the waste value chain. It connects the four players. Firstly, the waste generator like household and offices. Secondly, the recyclers needing raw materials. Thirdly, the upcyclers turning waste into products. And fourthly, the logistic operators. And on NEWAD, we can search by waste type and location just to find verified providers instantly. NEWAD has helped to close the gap between Chukwuemeka and the verified recyclers near him. This next slide. How NEWAD has helped the system shapers. It has helped us to turn our guesswork into a data-proven policies. Our policymaker dashboard now gives live data on regional waste generation, maps of where gaps exist, and trends on seasonal surges, also real-time recycling activities. With this, government can now place infrastructure where it is needed and allocate green budget accurately, also tracking impact in real time. No more building plants in the dark anymore. Now I'll be handing over to my co-presenter, Aliu Musa. You have the floor.
Okay, less than 3 minutes to go.
Okay, now that we have identified the data problem and seen what happened in Onitsha, there is the implementation strategy is targeted towards a very good infrastructure and policies that will shape the understanding of the masses towards both collection, disposal, and getting the right ways to the right recycling agencies. And based on that, NEWAT has already created a data mining pool where all these activities can take place. Now, why this matters to us is looking at it beyond moving the debt from the households to wherever we want to take them to. And this is where a sort of socio-economic activities will come in, because those people that will be involved in this value chain will now have jobs. Because if we still leave these wastes, when they are poorly handled, we have a lot of floodings, we have unhealthy environment, we have a lot of environmental degradation. But when we have this better system working, there's going to be a cleaner cities, green jobs, our health will improve, and there's going to be a sustainable economic opportunities for the people. Now, if you look at the picture from the left, you see where the old waste management system. But when we do it right by using the right policies, if you look at the right side, you see a greener environment. And that is what the system shapers are working towards. Now, we cannot do this alone. The systems alone cannot solve the waste. So we need people to move this waste from the generation side to the appropriate sites. Now, if the connection is established, then every household will like to sort their own waste, because they are getting a kind of incentives doing that. And the recyclers are always there to collect these things. And the government is looking at it keenly so that no waste is left behind.
Okay, Aliu, thank you so much. Thank you. It's time up. A round of applause for Aliu and
Thank you.
Favor for representing the GSAG. Thank you for this beautiful work. Truly appreciated. Let's appreciate them. Let's appreciate these people, please. We're about 50 participants currently, and less than 4 comments in the chat box. Please, let's appreciate these people. Let's thank them. Yes. Thank you so much. Right now, we're heading to the last GSAG presentation, which are the waste generators. The waste generators representatives, are you ready for us this night?
Yes, we are ready, sir.
Okay, are you presenting alone or you have a co-presenter?
I have a co-presenter.
Okay. So by exactly 9:20, we should begin.
All right, sir.
Good luck.
Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, your voice is not too clear though.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Is it audible?
Yeah, it's better now. It's better.
Okay, I start. Um, let's take a look at this scenario. Every sachet, water nylon, plastic bottle, and food pack we throw away tells a story. Today, I want to show you the broken story of waste in Nigeria and the missing link that can change it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mutura Victoria Lupono, and today I'll be presenting on the missing link, and I am representing Waste Generator, GSAG. Let's look at this story of Shukuka. Shukuka ran a business drink in the heart of the community. So every day, he always generates crates of soda bottles, bottled water, and canned drinks. So because he doesn't have any knowledge of recycling, he usually moves them to a dump site or to the back of his store and burn them. And at times, he gets some aboki and pay them off to carry the plastic away. But everything changed when he saw a commercial television broadcast the launch of Naiwad with a clear message declaring trash is your cash. Intrigued, Chukwuka pulled out his phone, went to naiwad.ng and instantly discovered verified recycling hubs operating right in his neighborhood, and he contacted them directly through the platform. Today, his shop looks different. It features clearly sorted bins where recyclables are separated from organic waste instead of paying to dump waste or burning it illegally. Next slide, please. So, who are the waste generators? We Nigerians are the waste generator. Household, from the market, from the business, offices, we all generate waste. Waste generation is a universal, unavoidable baseline activity of daily survival. So every individual generates waste in one way or the other. And this brings us to the missing link. The problem was not only the waste, the problem was disconnection, because there was no connector connecting the waste generator and the recycler. The waste begins here. Begins with the household, begins with the schools, markets, offices, and businesses. So the missing link now, Nigeria produces millions of tons of waste daily. Yet, waste collection coverage remains alarming low. There is no connection, there is no awareness, there is no accountability. People doesn't know how they can recycle their waste. And in human reality, when waste system fails, people suffer the most, especially the public. Social inequality, it affects everything. Environmental degradation, it affects the economic loss. Let's take a look at these Nigeria statistics. The numbers of waste generated annually. So with waste, because of poor infrastructure,
Okay, the co-presenter, are you there? Can you pick up from there? We can't hear you again.
We can't hear you again. Okay, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're audible. Please continue.
Hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, Jesus Christ. Hello, can you hear me
Yes,
now?
yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Chukwumauchena Kelvin, and I'm the co-presenter for the Waste Generator GSAG, and I'll be
You have
talking
2 minutes, please.
extensively.
You have less than 2 minutes.
Okay, okay, and I'll be talking extensively on NEWOD, who they are, what they are, and how they were able to effect a positive change in Nigeria ecosystem. First and foremost, what is NEWOD and what they stand for? NEWOD is a digital platform designed to bridge the gap between waste generators, collectors, recyclers, and government in Nigeria. Next slide, please. Next slide. So now you begin to ask yourself, how were they able to achieve all of these things? Please go back to the last slide. How are they able to achieve all of these things? I mean, what are the systems that they put in place to achieve all of these things? Now, the first system that they put in place to achieve this positive change in the country was that the generators get reliable, trackable pickups on demand. I mean, the generators don't once they get a reasonable volume, once they get a reasonable volume of waste, the tracks,
The
there's
time
a
you don't mind
trackable
me.
record.
I will just
There's a trackable record on demand. Please, okay. There's a trackable pickups on demand. I mean, the collectors come and there's a track about how they are being picked. Then, okay, now let me go to the next slide. Okay, now this here now you see that before this is before and after New World came. Now, before New World came, we there was no scheduled waste pickup. The waste pickers work invisibly. That is, then if you see waste pickers there, you think that they don't have a system. There's no structure. There's an array of function that they are function under. So at the end of the day, their work is invisible. Their sweat were invisible. You understand? So there were no data on waste volumes collected. So the whole thing was just done on a blind on a blind surface. You understand? So now the recyclers lack feedstock access. You know, the platform, the digital platform, they were able to develop a kind of a marketplace where the recyclers now get volumes. So it's become like a marketplace. So but then before the what came, there were no real marketplace where the recyclers meet the generators here. So but after New World came, there was a kind of a link, there was a kind of a collection between the recyclers and the generators in real time. So when after New World came, we had on-demand trackable collection. So the whole connections were on track. The whole connections were done simultaneously, and everything was the whole data was recorded. You understand? So
Yeah,
and there was a system of accountability and
Chukuma.
reports. So if there's something that we're not done right, and the generators and recyclers can have there is a system for accountability and reporting anything that was not done right. Yes.
Okay, Chukuma, thank you so much. It's way beyond time. I actually gave you extra time because of your network and that of your co-presenter. They're both not not too good. But thank you for sharing your slide and representing your DISAG. You also did well in standing up for your co-presenter. Please, a round of applause for all of the presenters, please. Let's cheer them up. They've done a lot. Please let us appreciate them. for stepping up, for representing you. Thank you all. Thank you. And yes, a big thank you again to the GSAMs. This has been a lot of background work. Yes. Thank you to GSAM Balikis, to GSAM Gift, to GSAM Mustafa, to GSAM Lulu, to GSAM Rafiat. Just appreciate everyone working at the background. And also to the judges, so let's thank them. And while we make our way straight to the academy to just round up, is yes, let's make our way straight to the academy to round up. Thank you, everyone. Let's make our way to the academy. Please let's make our way to the academy, please. We are still 32 here. Please let's leave here now. Thank you.